Hey everybody. So I wanted to do this quick video about good and evil. I've made various attempts to tackle this subject, but it always ends up becoming long, drawn out, and misunderstood. I'm not a dualist. I don't believe in an equal good and evil in any way, shape, or form. In the sense that whatever we deem to be evil, whatever we consider to be evil, can always be seen as proper by someone else. I'm not going to deny that bad things happen, or that people do bad things. What I am denying is that there is an equal portion of good and bad in the world. And I guess the example that really got me thinking about this was a leaf. A leaf is perfectly symmetrical in almost every case. When we look at plants in nature, we respect the symmetry of it, the beauty of it. And there are times when, I considered this the other day. I thought, what if leaves were half rounded on one side and all jagged on the other side? Would nature look so beautiful to us? And it sounds like kind of a silly thing, but that symmetry is what we yearn for. Now, the symmetry occurs everywhere. It happens when you throw a rock into a pond and the ripples go outwards. It's on leaves themselves as well as the trees themselves. And the earth itself, and there's a symmetry to the galaxy, there's a symmetry to the stars within their own areas. And with that, I think that since we see that in nature, we see that symmetry in nature, it just leads us to automatically assume that it's a dualist world, that everything is balanced. Now, I know that's kind of a leap to say that seeing symmetry in leaves means that life is symmetrical, but that's the way I see it as of right now, that we expect there to be a balance because when there's a balance, it makes things understandable. It says that this is what I can do that's right, and this is what I can do it's not right, and this is how I know the difference. But, tying in things like good and evil are very difficult. A person may say that murder is evil, but in say a preventative situation, what if a person knew, someone was threatening his family and he had to defend himself, or maybe it wasn't self-defense, maybe it was a preemptive strike on someone he knew was going to harm him. And these are all these little individual cases that have to be broken down. We can't just point the finger and say, okay, this is bad. And it's very hard to find one cause in nature or one thing a person does that's bad. If we were to take good and evil as humans being able to do good and evil, then we're removing that ability of nature to have evil as well. Would a storm be evil because it harms people? Would an earthquake be evil because it levels your cities and buildings? How do we determine these things? So it's the symmetry in nature, I think, that we transpose onto daily life and make assumptions that everything's balanced. I see everything as the same. I don't see the ability to have one without the other. Let me take an example of, an extreme example would be to take Christianity and take God and the devil and say, if we could abolish Satan, life would be so much greater. And I say, well, would it really? Or would it just make some of the more positive attributes of life seem negative in order to balance out that symmetry? So, it's just Satan's an archetype for things that we don't understand or we don't find proper. But I don't really think that there's an evil per se. However, this is where I wanted to go on this, is to say that I believe that evil didn't itself, what we consider evil or bad, didn't originate in nature so much as in the minds of men. And what we began to determine was evil. And what happens is when we start to do bad things as a society, we we manifest that evil into a reality. So in other words, if there is an evil, man created it. Man created it by manifesting it and by feeding it. And we create all kinds of things as humans. I mean, we feed all kinds of weird ideas that end up taking a life of their own. And I really do think that fear is like that. It becomes not just an addiction for people, but it's a manifestation. It becomes its own entity, if that makes sense. That when a person buys into the fear campaign, they're buying into that energy and they're feeding off of that energy. But it's a negative energy. So I do believe that there are positive and negative energies, but I don't believe that it's a dualist nature, like the yin and yang and the full balance of good and evil. I think that that balance is much more subtle, but what do I know? I'm in this little cove I found in the middle of the woods here. Little chill zone. Nice soil. Take care.